a factual thing we should clear. Alex.
Yes, my brother.
As I said, I'm resisting the temptation to go in a certain direction.
I shall see how long you
but you see, if we were to itemize specifics, are you aware that between 1994 to 1999, 300 drug cases were not properly, adequately prosecuted or not prosecuted at all? Between 1994 and 1999, what does that mean? It shows the seeds of impunity.
You're talking about the first NDC regime.
I don't want to, I'm giving you years. I said 1994 to 1999. Okay. 300.
It coincided with the first NDC regime.
What that means is that you are sowing the seeds of impunity. I'm not saying it's the NDC government that ensured there was no trial or prosecution. There were institutions to do that. Okay. And indeed, the statement that came out in the graphic, the police were lamenting that the judiciary was not helping, and that some courts were unnecessarily giving bails and all the rest. Not that long history. That's why we legislated that even this matter, when it comes to drugs, it's not bailable. That was sowing the seeds of impunity. It's not the government directly, deliberately, consciously doing it. In my candid opinion, that's not a judgment I'm making. This is a phenomenon. And the more you deal with and you don't deal with it properly, the people grow wings. When they are putting up an infrastructure, sometimes it takes 5, 6, 7 years to put up a serious infrastructure, the networking. If they are infiltrating the police, the judiciary, parliament, political parties, churches, traditional authority, it's not.
You're talking about the drug dealers.
Yes. And if you recall, Francis Poku's testimony at George Nawu's committee actually gave the right global picture of the threat that this whole phenomenon posed to our security and stability as a nation. So I don't want to go there. There are many examples I can give you, and I brought all the documentation here to show to you that from 1970 to today, we have been challenged by this particular menace. Examples of government officials, military officers, and the rest who were arrested abroad. Some who were on peacekeeping operations and things. These are well documented. Drugs getting missing in either BNI or police custody did not begin today. Officials of state trying to change, and I have Kwanson's book here, Mr. Kwanson, one of our best intelligence professionals. You go read it. How 2 BNI officials tried to change cocaine into Kokunte, and how he stopped it.
So it's an old trick.
And indeed, how one of them ended up sleeping with the woman that they had arrested and taking $10,000 from him. And the investigation set up, and Kwanson's disappointment at the outcome of the investigations, because he thought some highly placed personalities did not help the matter to end logically. It's all here. It's in this book.
What's the
title
of his book again?
Ghana, National Security, The Dilemma by K.B. Kwanson. Go read it. Okay? So it's a challenge. But please, let me proceed to deal with the present case. You know something, Alex? First of all, just factual errors that we need to correct. The police's own statement.
Yes, I'm not disputing.
14 December 2011. The police tells us that after several adjournments, she was granted bail by the High Court on 11th November 2009. This is the police statement.
Okay, fine.
They proceed also, the second bail was while the trial was going on, her counsel filed a motion for bail at High Court 4. On 16th September 2011, the application for bail was granted in the sum of 60,000 Ghana cedis with 2 sureties on to be justified.
September 16th.
Yes. 2011. That's the second.
That's the second one.
Second.
Yes.
The first one was
so the
11th November 2011.
I have a different date.
29.
That's fine.
209.
Yes.
Of course, from my reading, it says while they're waiting for the execution of the bail, the case was called. So it doesn't look as if the second bail was executed. Having said that, there was something that intrigued me, and I need answers. See, if you read the same police statement, it appears that the disclosure or the revelation that this thing had turned from cocaine into, is it washing powder, was 22nd November 2011.
Yes.
When did Daily Graphic and the Daily Guide the rest report this matter?
This was earlier this week.
Yes.
What was happening in between that period? In terms of the authorities, in an open court, of competent jurisdiction, such a case, you see all the weight we are giving to it now, vice presidential intervention, chief justice's intervention, BNI intervention, all of us, the media, also joining and making so much noise. Between 22nd November 2011 and the time, last Wednesday, I can't recollect the date, I'm aging these days, you know. Okay. What happened in between that, Alex?
I think that, can I just say one thing?
Yeah.
It is important to note that at that point, the court is still seized of the case. And there are certain orders they could have made or made, and you cannot get involved in it. The reason why people could get involved in it in the big way it has is that the acquittal took place. Once the court made the decision and the acquittal took place.
When was that?
But if there's a court...
When was that?
Sorry, if there's a court proceeding...
December 13th.
December 13th.
Yes, that's when it all blew.
No, but listen, this had happened. Okay. I'm saying the police, did they report this to the Ministry of Interior?
Oh.
The Attorney General, the State Attorney, did they report this to the Attorney General's Department? Was government aware that such an incident had occurred? I agree. I'm not saying that government should have announced in between and truncate a judicial process. That's not what I'm asking for. But I am saying that the surprise that was expressed by some of these authorities, December 14th or so, really, I thought it was an overblown one. Because clearly they were already aware.
Or perhaps they were not.
Wow.
Because
that makes it even more serious.
This was in court. Do you think that,
the
again, in court there will be media coverage?
The court, the media, even we were also beating to it because maybe we're not there. But I'm saying, no, but we are not responsible for this. No. The line of responsibility is more the State Attorney.
Yeah, who was representing.
Was there a report on this incident, as serious as it was, recalling history and all the rest, made to the Attorney General?
We don't know.
Was the Attorney General aware?
I'm sure the inquiry.
I think the point
investigators.
At which you can say that becomes an issue was actually on December 8th, when the defense made a submission of no case. At the point when they made the submission of no case, because at that point, one was not sure whether they were going to, how this whole exhibit issue was going to be dealt with. And even though I don't give it as an excuse, I don't think it's as an excuse, but I think it can be given as an explanation as to why nothing really happened. Because
so they were not surprised then when it became public. I am saying the expression of surprise and the weight of the scope of the surprise that was unwarranted. Because all of them should have known.
Well, no, the question that I want to ask from your question is how many times has this happened in the past? That is the question. Has there been cases where you've been in court and a number of cases, maybe 3, 4 in the past, where drugs have then been been asked to be retested, and when they've been retested, an acquittal takes place, but it makes no news.
Even the question,
you understand? It makes no news. But all of a sudden, this one has made news, and as a result, so that is the question that I really want to answer.
It was news to the public, for me, safely. It shouldn't have been news to those in charge of the state machinery, in the police, at the courts, and at the Attorney General's Department. That's the points I'm making.
Okay.
So if they were expressing surprise, for me, it showed that maybe everybody was asleep.
Or the people who were supposed to report did not go back
or did not do the right reporting. That's something that I found intriguing. Because you see, sometimes quick reporting of such issues to the appropriate authorities can lead to a cure in the chain. Time of this nature, this drug team, they are experts, they are professionals. The least time they get, they can capitalize on to cover up a lot of things. Apart from that, you see, for me, bottom line, whether it got missing at the police station or at the courts or in between, in transit, the effect, in fact, the value is the same relative to the image of Ghana on the global level. It's a negative. It's a minus. Alex is making the point that, and that was a comparison I didn't want to do. But let's be honest, we were hugely challenged with this matter under Kufuor's administration. The impression should not be created that no efforts were made to combat it. There are many instances of arrest, interceptions, and trial and conviction of huge examples. The Venezuelan barons and all the rest. This publication, which I have here, and sometimes our friends tend to ignore it. This is Drug Barons Now Scared of Ghana. This Ghanaian Times. And this
of
is
which date?
Of September 20th, 2008. And this was being said by let me read a portion very really. Drug dealers are now avoiding the use of Ghana as a transit point. Fernando Vaz Ventura, leader of an European Union security delegation, has said. He made this observation after he led a 5-member delegation to the country to assess the level of anti-narcotics trafficking operations at the Kotoka International Airport. Commenting on the measures put in place by Ghana to check the drug menace, he was satisfied that the measures here are very high. No wonder drug traffickers are avoiding Ghana because of the sophisticated nature of the country's effort at checking activities of drug dealers.
Okay. I mean, should we take his word for gospel though? Because this man was working with Operation Workspace.
I said challenge. Look, I didn't say perfect.
Okay.
And they assess. Today, the UN still gives us assessment reports. The US State Department gives assessment reports.
Like a specific reference to say, in 2006, to back what his
But it's there. The NACOPS report is there. There is a NACOPS report I have here for 2007 and 8. And you see the number of arrests that were done and the number of trials that were conducted. It's here. Report on activities of the Narcotics Control Board, May 2007 and December 2008. All the figures and facts are here. This is not a political regime's report. It's a NACOP report. Today they still issue reports.
See, my point, Kweku, is to get, if you're saying that something has improved, there has to be a certain measurement. Do you understand?
Yeah, but this delegation, this European Union, they are part and parcel of the global fight against